say good afternoon to all of my many friends, also to my many enemies. Once again, this is another episode of Roosevelt Sounds Off. And I would like to, meanwhile, before I get into the meat of this video, if you're new to the channel, or if you are one of my old subscribers, thank you for coming to the channel. And be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. You know, any kind of past, present, and future support that you are going to give is very much appreciated from my heart to yours, okay? Okay, let's get into this story. Now, this story takes place in Alabama. It took place on Sunday morning around 2 or 3 in the morning. And it was a mother and daughter and I guess a couple of their friends that came from, I guess, a club or something. Because you know a whole lot of us, you know, who have partied in the past, and even some of you all who still party now. You know, a whole lot of times the stuff people, they go to the club and everything. And then, you know, on the way home from the club, they might stop at a Waffle House or stop at, you know, IHOP or Denny's or something, you know, to grab something to eat, you know, before you go home and go to sleep, you know. And so, I guess there's a confrontation in this Waffle House because the woman, you know, she's a 24-25-year-old black lady named Shakis. I'm up here butchering the name like a whole lot of other people online so far have. Shakisha Clemens. You know, anytime I say a name, I like to say it correctly because people, they done butchered my full name pretty much my whole life. But that's not, you know, my thought right now. But, you know, let's stick with this story. And her and her mother and a couple of their other friends, I guess that there was a confrontation because she had ordered something. And she had ordered some food. And then there was like a confrontation over some plastic forks or plastic cutlery versus metal cutlery, from the understanding that I have heard, because I guess the waitress told her that the plastic cutlery would cost her like 50 cents or something. And then, you know, she decides to go and ask them for their corporate number because she said that she had just eaten there like the day before. She didn't have to pay 50 cents for some cutlery or for some plastic spoons and forks, you know. So right now, I'm going to go to the video of what happened when the police were called and how the Saraland police, Saraland, I think it's a suburb just like right outside of Mobile from what I understand. The police were called and how this 25-year-old woman was, as far as I'm concerned, pretty much raped by the Saraland police because they were so anxious to put her into custody. They threw her on the ground and, you know, her shirt and everything came off and her breast ended up getting exposed. And this video has gone viral across, you know, the state of Alabama and even across this country. A lot of people have seen it, and it's even sparked a whole lot of outrage in Alabama because even yesterday afternoon that there was a rally sponsored by the Alabama chapter of the NAACP against the police that took place in the parking lot of the Waffle House. And even during that peaceful protest, I saw the video and footage on Facebook, some protester was arrested even in that. So right now I'm going to cut to the video and tell you exactly what I think of companies or just people who call the police over small, little, minor stuff. And I'm going to come back with the rest of my commentary.
You didn't call the police in.
You haven't did nothing. They haven't did nothing too. Yeah, she asked him what's corporate number.
Because the only thing I asked him was for corporate number.
That's the only thing she asked him.
I was going to go over there and get the card from them.
I heard the F-bomb and everything.
No, because Goldie was sitting here talking crazy to me. No, but that's not what you're going to do to me. You're not going to grab on me like that. No.
Come on, Kiki. Let's just go outside.
Please talk to you separately. Because he just come here and just grabbed on me like for no reason. I would say I was going.
Yes, he would have. All she did was ask him what's their number. Why you not pushing her? She not doing nothing. Like, what are y'all doing? No, y'all doing nothing.
Y'all ain't really doing stuff to me. What are you doing?
Man, I'm about to break your arm. That's what I'm about to do.
You about to break her arm?
Man, go ahead and quit resisting.
Y'all got her head behind her back. Right. I don't have anything.
You want to come fix her clothes?
No, y'all
Okay.
Y'all got
You all have saw that video clip of what took place in the Waffle House in Saraland, Alabama, and that falls under the category of fair use, by the way. Okay, let's go in. Now, when the police came, first of all, let's go back to what happened before the police were called. Now, what I have read and what I've heard on what they're saying online is that they both went into this Waffle House and one of them put in an order, and then, you know, they said that they wanted plastic cutlery with their food, but then, you know, the waitress, they said, was acting like very, very smart-mouthed and everything, and her name is Goldie, you know, that particular waitress, because you can hear the name even in the video, that she was acting very smart-mouthed, and, you know, putting herself in the conversation that she was trying to have with one of the other workers about getting a corporate number. And that's all she asked for was the corporate number, because why? She had walked in before and, you know, ate there like the day before and had no problem in getting plastic cutlery, and they didn't charge 50 cents for it. Now, sometimes when it comes down to this kind of stuff, sometimes I'm a little bit divided, because I guess sometimes maybe it depends on whenever you go into a restaurant or anything. Sometimes it depends on like where you go and who you deal with, because there's a certain McDonald's in downtown Chicago where I like to eat at. After I get done doing and uploading and editing this video, I'll probably be headed there myself, you know, because we're gonna have a pretty kind of nice day here in the city of Chicago, because we're gonna be probably close to 60 degrees, which is, you know, something for us after our very long winter, and, you know, we hardly haven't had too much of a spring. So, you know, I go to these places and stuff sometimes downtown, especially this particular McDonald's, just to call myself trying to like halfway get out the house or whatever. And you know, people at this McDonald's, they know me, so it's like sometimes I'll order. Like, one of my favorite things to order is always, you know, something like a double cheeseburger, or since they got the $1, $2, and $3 meal now, which, you know, they have on the menu, you know, I'll order the Bacon McDouble, and I'll ask for Mac sauce, which is the kind of sauce that they use on top of the Big Macs on it. Now, normally, if you get any kind of sandwich with Mac sauce, it's like 35 cents, but, you know, I'm kind of friendly with some of the people there in that McDonald's. So sometimes, you know, they'll say like, oh man, we just give it to you something for no charge. Especially one particular, you know, worker who works there named Jose. Jose, he'll always say like, oh man, I ain't gonna charge you 35 cents for that. Just, you know, go on or whatever. So I guess maybe this was the case, that maybe the day before she had dealt with somebody who knew her, but maybe this time she dealt with somebody who didn't know her. Don't know if this what really happened. You know, at this point, you know, I'm just kind of speculating, because, you know, facts of this particular case are coming out, you know, kind of slowly. I'm only finding out about this morning myself. Okay? And then after a while that, you know, I'm hearing, you know, I'm hearing two versions of the story. I heard that the employee got mad at her and then canceled her order, but yet I'm hearing like one of them canceled the order, okay? And then she was asking, or standing there in front of the counter, asking them for the number to their corporate office, which is the right thing to do if you're having a problem with a company, okay? And so during the time that she's waiting on the number, then the police come in, like 2 or 3 officers come in. And I guess they want her to leave, and, you know, because I guess certain people in the restaurant saying that she's making a disturbance. And you hear what the officer said in the video. He said that he heard the F-bomb. Yo, dude, really? You're going to go put somebody out and arrest somebody all because they use the F word. This is why you all always hear me say that this country here in America has a whole lot of nerve jumping on other countries, especially, you know, Latin nations, African nations, Islamic nations, communist nations even, for their laws and saying how they violate, human rights. They're talking about, Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, and Iran, Iraq, and China, and North Korea violates people's human rights. When we send people to jail or want people locked up for some of the smallest things, that's how come you always hear me say that in this country, our laws, they're so stupid because we definitely major in the minors. To say the F word, let me just not say the F word. I mean, we all grown here. You know what F word it was that she used. Let's just say, just because she used the word fuck. Really? You're going to go and lock somebody up all because they said the word fuck. How many times do all of those police officers have cursed? Golly, I don't know what they do in Alabama, but I know many times that Chicago police officers curse, but yet they want to lock you up for cursing. Like I said on the video yesterday, it's like a whole different ball game or a set of rules for them versus us. And they ended up they were so anxious to put her in handcuffs, they were almost willing to strip her clothes off of her, which I consider that to be an act on the Saraland Police Department. I consider that to be an act of rape. It's an assault. It's a sexual assault. And as far as all of that goes, now, hopefully somebody doesn't take what I'm about to say out of context or take what I'm about to say the wrong way. But you know me, this is Roosevelt sounds off. So, I say it anyway. Anytime that you are or a police officer wants to put you under arrest, and it's unjustified, and at this point, they're not even telling her what she has done wrong. She wasn't even asked to leave the Waffle House. Let's get that out there. Anytime you're being put under arrest and being manhandled like that over something that is unjust, that's a tandem amount to an assault. And as far as I'm concerned, you can take it any kind of way you want. You have the right to defend yourself. It was something that was very sick and sexual about them almost ripping her out of her clothes. And then the other officer, he was completely out of line by saying that he was about to break her arm because I guess at least they try to say that she was resisting, which I basically believe that it's code speech for them to be harder on you, because you can see a whole lot of police videos. A whole lot of times they'll have you they'll just have a person taking them, throwing them all around and whatever, hitting them, all of that kind of stuff. And all the time they just keep on saying, stop resisting, stop resisting, stop resisting. And the person hasn't resisted at all. It's basically code speech. And basically something that they say, which is a buzzword, so they can get the extra charge of resisting arrest. And I just cannot believe, even in some states, like Louisiana, that if you resist arrest in the state of Louisiana, they said that that's an automatic felony, and they are going to prosecute the crime of resisting arrest as a hate crime, all because they consider police officers and sheriff's deputies in the state of Louisiana to be a protected class. There should be no one that is a protected class according to their occupation in this country. If you take on that occupation, as far as I'm concerned, you should take on the penalties that go along with it. There should be no protected classes as far as careers go in this country of the United States. But this is what's going on. It was something sexual that these deputies had on their mind. And then after they had known that they had messed up, then they tried to get her friend, well, can you go and cover her up and everything with something? What would have been the appropriate thing to do, I always thought that anytime you're going to make an arrest of a female, that you have to have a female deputy there to make the arrest. What are you doing with 3 men or 3 white officers trying to throw down and wrestle this woman? And I just cannot believe that another video I saw this morning was Tommy Sotomayor, who's trying to justify and take up for this whole arrest. He's a black YouTuber who always wants to critique the attitudes and the personalities and the ways of black people, especially black women. He's saying that this is okay with him. He doesn't have a problem with how the police handled these black women, because these black women were loudmouthed and they were acting ignorant, so they deserve what comes to them. Because if he's had problems with black women and other men have had problems with black women, then he knows that the black women in this whole story were giving the officers a hard time, which he wasn't even there, so how does he even know? Coming from a black man, this is what he's going to say. It's something very sick and sexual and profane about this whole thing. I think this whole thing of hard policing, especially in, that's how come you always hear me say that we need, in this country, we need to stop arresting people and punishing people over small crimes. Because this is what happens. This is a shame. And this is some, I hope that this, they said that this is being investigated. The mayor's office is involved, and the police chief, he said that this will be investigated. And I hope these officers lose their job or get sanctioned or something happens. So at this point, that's where I'm going to leave it. If anybody likes this video, be sure to give me a thumbs up. I would greatly appreciate it. And be sure to tell other people what I am trying to do here on my channel. It's very much appreciated on my part. So that's where I'm going to leave it. It's a shame what's going on and what took place to this young lady in Alabama. So with that, I'm going to say goodbye. And hopefully I'll see everybody in the next video. Peace and blessings to all.